Hey everyone, Clay here. If you've been listening to this show for a while, then you know that Sean and I are both big Michael Keaton Batman fans. So of course that meant we were eventually going to cover Keaton's return to the role in The Flash. But we're going to be doing it on Patreon. So here's a little preview of our coverage of The Flash, and if you want to hear the whole thing, head over to patreon.com/thepenskyfile and get all that sweet, sweet Michael Keaton Batman content over there. All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy.
I think it is? I used to see this thing on the news when I was a kid.
I'll help you get this Superman. Then you're on your own.
You're...
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BATTASS Podcast, the Batman the Animated Series show, where generally we talk about Batman the Animated Series. But today we are doing a special episode where myself and Sean Murphy talk about the 2023 film, The Flash. How you doing, Sean?
Man, you ever have a film fool you? Like you walk out of the theater and you're so hyped or buzzed or tipsy and you're with your friends and it's like, man, that was pretty good. And then the next morning you're like, wait a minute, that was terrible.
I think that was the entire collective response to all three of the Star Wars prequels.
Okay.
Because I remember when Attack of the Clones came out,
yeah.
I think I saw that movie 3 times in the theater, and only after that, when I really kind of came down, did I realize that movie was basically 2 hours of trash.
Yeah. Well, I remember my friend went hard to bat for the movie The Hulk. The first one.
Yeah.
And after a while, he was like, yeah, maybe it wasn't that good. And I was like, yeah, man, you have like Hulk dogs and different like...
Yeah.
It was terrible. And he's like, you're right, it hulked me. So for a while I've been using the phrase like this movie hulked me.
I went to bat for the Hulk after I saw it, and Daredevil. I think because I was too taken by the fact that they were actually making these movies.
Yeah.
And so Daredevil, I think Daredevil had the quickest burn off. Because I saw Daredevil and was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And then a couple days later I was like, no, that was not cool. But Hulk, I'll defend parts of that Hulk movie. Like, I still think the sequence where he's fighting in the desert is some of the best Hulk stuff they've ever done. But, there's another hour and 45 minutes to that movie, so I don't know if it all holds up. I haven't watched it in a long time, though.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Well, there's this thing of people, one of the things people throw out there now is, when you see a movie, do you actually want to see it again immediately? Sure. As if that's some kind of barometer for how good it is. And when I watched the new Spider-Verse, I thought I got to see that again just because I feel like I missed some stuff.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Do you think that's true that you can tell a good movie these days if you actually want to see it again because there's so much stuff to see now?
I don't think it's a marker of quality because there's plenty of movies that I think are fantastic that I've only seen once.
Right.
There's plenty of movies that I've seen more than once that are terrible. I saw Spider-Man 3 twice, and I knew at the time that movie was terrible.
Right. What's a movie that is great, but when you walked out, you're like, that was awesome. I never want to watch it again. Like Schindler's List, maybe.
Yeah, no, I do like a weekly Schindler's List viewing just to keep myself humble.
I've actually heard someone say that sincerely. They'll watch that once a month and just have it on in the background.
As they're cleaning.
Yeah, no, I'm not lying, man. She's generally a normal person. Like, I kind of threw me. I gotta actually circle back with that next time I see her.
Everybody's got their weird thing, I guess. I don't know if I've seen many movies in the theater that I've said like that was really good, but I don't ever want to watch that again. There's one movie I think by a guy named Todd Solondz called Happiness, which
that sounds familiar. I haven't seen it though.
I watched it and I was like, this is a good movie. Like, I can identify that, but it disturbed me so much that I never wanted to watch it ever again. Like, I would go out of my way to not watch it.
Yeah. That's where Train Spotting and Requiem land for me.
Oh, sure.
But I didn't even, I can't, my head isn't built that way. Like, I just can't watch those. And I know that those are cult hits for certain people, you know?
Yeah. I think, Train Spotting especially, I think the soundtrack did a lot of heavy lifting for that one. But I've actually never seen Train Spotting. I gotta get around to seeing that one. But I don't know. I don't know if I've told. Yeah, I think I've told this story on a podcast. I don't know if it was with you though. My Requiem for a Dream story is my friends, the older kids in my church youth group would get together and watch movies every now and then, and there was one girl in the group who was really annoyed that she never got to pick a movie. And so we all got together at one of their houses and we're like, okay, well, sure, you can pick the movie. What did you pick? And she's like, I picked this movie called Requiem for a Dream. And I was aware of it. I had not seen it. And I don't think anybody else in the room, maybe except my one other friend, was aware of it. And so I watched Requiem for a Dream with a room full of church kids at somebody's house. And like, I had this huge smile on my face the entire time because I knew exactly what was happening. And then afterwards, there's this just like stunned silence. And the girl who picked the movie just said, I thought it sounded nice.
It does sound nice,
it does.
Actually.
Yeah, it's got kind of a nice,
Like What Dreams May Come. But again, a movie that's not a lot of fun.
Right.
With Robin Williams.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason that you're bringing this up? Does this apply to anything we're going to talk about today?
We went down to Washington, D.C. We had our group together, so there were like 6 of us. And we were having good dinner and drinks, so I was primed to have a good time. I think all of us were. And I was expecting a complete shit show. Like, I have no faith in this movie. I wanted it to bomb, but I wanted Michael Keaton to be good so that we could get a proper Batman Beyond. Mm-hmm. And I think because it technically kept me interested the whole time, I walked out. I leaned over to you after. I'm like, I think that was an A-.
I was shocked that you said that.
Yeah, you were right. And then the next morning, I'm like, all right, maybe B plus B. And then a day went by, and I'm like, okay, well, C. C is an average movie. So I started thinking, what is an average superhero movie? Mm-hmm. Like, what would you give a C to fairly? And I thought, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 would be a C for me. But then I thought, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I didn't love Guardians 2. I would probably give that a C for me, I would say, is a right down the middle origin story that doesn't really take any chances or do anything interesting.
I agree, man. But what? Could you have an example?
Like
Marvel, DC.
Like probably one of the second round of Spider-Man, like the Garfield Spider-Man.
All right, sure,
something like that.
So if that's the average,
Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange, like that movie's fine, but it's just like it's right down the middle.
Right.
Superhero origin.
Yeah.
A little bit. So then, doesn't really stand up.
To measure, that's the yardstick. Is Flash better than Doctor Strange? Is it better than average? And I would say no. It's a disaster. So then I would go D. But now I'm like, all right, what does it mean for a movie to actually fail? And for F. And I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute. So I kind of went through all the 5 stages of denial and slept a lot on this and like tried to think of different ways to how to classify it. And it might just be an F, man. And according to the box office draw, it seems to have definitely failed.
Well, the funny thing about that is the question that I came away from thinking about this movie. I've seen it twice, and the thing I kept thinking was, who was this movie being made for? Because it's not made for fans of the Flash TV show, because it has nothing to do with that, and that was on for 9 years and had its whole entire fan base to that they could have tapped into. It's not, at this point, it's not really being made for fans of the Snyder stuff, because everybody knows that this is basically just sweeping all that stuff under the rug, even though like it's very, very heavily cooked into the Snyder stuff. It's not really for them, because this is the last hurrah of that universe. And the only thing I could think of is like it seems to be made for comic book fans, but like it seems to be too referential to be a wide spanning hit. Like there's two. I didn't think that the references and stuff didn't bother me, because like that was the movie I understood we were in for, so it's like whatever, just enjoy it. But it's like I couldn't figure out like who this movie appeals to, because even the Keaton Batman stuff was fun, but it's 30 years ago. There's been 15 Batman since then. Like is there really still a draw for that outside of the 10 people who've seen this movie?
Right.
And so I just kind of came away thinking like, I'm not really sure who this is for. That being said, I don't think it's a disaster. I actually think, all things considered, given the history of this and what they actually tried to do, it's not bad. I think it's enjoyable, and I think it's worth a watch if you're interested in the Flash or comic book movies or whatever. But it's just so strangely all over, because it's like, again, going back to who's this made for, right? It's a Flash movie, but about half an hour in, it turns into a Superman movie. Or I should say it turns into a Batman movie. And then a half an hour after that, it turns into a Superman movie. And then at the very end, they wrap around back to the Flash in a way that just feels like they're stringing together whatever they can find. And then they start pulling in all this multiverse stuff. And all the multiverse stuff is all Superman and Batman. Like there's no Flash stuff. There's one other Flash. Which apparently it's pretty funny, because no one can figure out who played this other Flash, and so the theory is that he's actually a completely CGI character, which is a little disturbing. But so it's like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of all over the place, and so I'm not really sure who this is appealing to.
Yeah, it's kind of like sort of like there's a playground, but it's falling apart. So everyone decides, well, let's get the neighborhood together.
So there you go. There's a little taste of our coverage of The Flash. Head on over to patreon.com/thepensky-file if you want to hear the rest. We get into a whole bunch of different things. We talk about the state of blockbusters in general, the future of Batman, et cetera, et cetera. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back next time with our regularly scheduled Batman Beyond.